Which ongoing fantasy stories or series have the highest potential to become the all-time greats? Well, today I'm reacting to a thread on Reddit where that question is asked. Now, a user called Ripterium TV said, contrary to popular opinion, I love reading unfinished stories. Okay, interesting. The joy of getting a new chapter or book is unmatched. Plenty of time of theorizing, discussing, and revisiting the series too. Oh, interesting. I kinda can get the appeal of reading unfinished series. I mean, I do read unfinished series, and I like the community feel of, theorizing and so on. Now, I only think that this applies for series where the author is actually interested in finishing the series. And I'm not gonna mention any names, but you know which authors I'm talking about here. So the user writes, which series do you have high hopes for? Ooh, it's gonna be interesting. Now let's do a bit of a bingo here, because instantly 3 authors come to my mind. George R. R. Martin, Scott Lynch, and Patrick Rothfuss. Now, I will be shocked if those 3 authors aren't mentioned at the very top, but we will see. I know Patrick Rothfuss particularly has a really bad reputation on Reddit, so I wouldn't be surprised that if people mention him, that they'll just instantly download him, so he might not be on here, but let's have a look. Okay, the first one, nickname 666, he writes, A Song of Ice and Fire. Come on, George. Obviously, okay, already one ticked off, George R. R. Martin. Now, I think it's been around 12 years since book 5, A House of Dragons, came out. It's called House of Dragons. No, it's called A Dance with Dragons came out. And yeah, I think we think about the most influential series of all time, it must be Lord of the Rings. And I wouldn't be surprised, at least when it comes to popularity, if A Song of Ice and Fire or the Westeros universe is in the second spot at this point. And yeah, almost everyone says, and yes, I haven't watched it, but almost everyone says that the adaptations finish in a very bad note. And obviously, I think that A Song of Ice and Fire has already reached like one of the highest potentials, but it can go even further if A Song of Ice and Fire actually finishes on a high note. So yeah, no surprise here. I don't really feel like I need to introduce you guys to the world of Westeros. You guys know about this world. So without further ado, let's go to the next one. Mammoth Chemistry 910 writes, Stormlight easily. If each book is at the same consistency for all 10 books, it'll be one of the greatest modern fantasy stories of all time. Okay, obviously Stormlight, the 5th and last book in the Stormlight Archive Arc 1 is coming out this year, Wind and Truth, which is incredibly exciting. Now, this is one of my all-time favorite series already, and I think that if Sanderson is able, as his user said, able to maintain that consistency of quality throughout the whole 10 books, and these books are huge, and then yeah, obviously Stormlight Archive will be one of the series that will reach ridiculous heights. Now, we just need adaptation for people in the mainstream to also take proper notice, but yeah, I think he's slowly getting there. But yeah, if you don't know anything about this series, then it's a 5-book series split into 2 arcs, and the first arc is gonna get wrapped up soon, and then I think it's gonna be like 5 or 6 years until Sanderson actually starts on arc 2, but in total it'll be 10 books. But yeah, the Stormlight Archive is created by Brandon Sanderson and is set in a world of Roshar, a storm-wrecked planet characterized by its unique ecology, cultures, and magic systems. Now, the world is marked by powerful magical storms that shape the landscape and influence the life of its inhabitants. Roshar is home to various nations, each with distinct customs and societal structures, including the Alethi, who are militaristic and honor-bound, and the Shin, known for their deep spirituality and unique perspectives. The series features a diverse array of sentient beings, including the Sprens, magical entities tied to human emotions and natural phenomena, and the Parsenti, a race with their own complex culture and history. Now, central to the world building are the magic system, primarily based on the use of Stormlight, a powerful energy harnessed from the high storms. Now, different orders of the Night's Radiance can manipulate this energy in unique ways, reflecting themes of leadership, responsibility, and personal growth. Okay, so that just gives you a flavor of what the Stormlight Archive is, but without further ado, let's go to the number 3. Both sci-fi, but Red Rising and Suneater. Okay, so these must be the most popular ongoing sci-fi series at the moment. I feel like for the past years, Red Rising has been everywhere, and in 2024, Suneater by Christopher Rockwell has just taken the whole internet by storm. Now, I have read the first original Red Rising trilogy, which I enjoyed. Now, I haven't continued yet, just because I have so many other books I'm a bit more excited about, actually. But yeah, I keep seeing Suneater everywhere, and I have massive FOMO. If I'm not mistaken, then both of these series are planned to finish or conclude in 2025, and yeah, fingers crossed that both of them end on a high note, because the hype for these both series is huge. Now, it'll be interesting in 10 years time if we're gonna look at Suneater potentially being more influential than Red Rising. Obviously, Red Rising has been around for longer, but I just feel like the hype train for Suneater is just immense. So yeah, the legacy might actually come down to how both of these authors are able to conclude these series. But no surprise here that both Red Rising and Suneater are on here, and I'll just give you a brief taste of what these series are about. plot. So Red Rising is set in a dystopian future where society is stratified into a rigid caste system based on colors, with golds at the top as rulers and reds at the bottom as laborers. Now the story follows Darrow, a red who discovers the truth about the oppressive system that keeps his people in subjugation. After a personal tragedy, he infiltrates the golds by undergoing a transformation to become one of them. So that's Red Rising, and Suneater, a series I haven't read, so I actually had to do some digging online, is about Hadrian Marlowe, a young man from a noble family who becomes embroiled in the complexity of a vast interstellar empire known as the Commonwealth. Set against a backdrop of space exploration and political intrigue, the series delves into themes of honor, duty, and nature of humanity as Adrian rises. Now the series explores Adrian's journey as he confronts the challenge of leadership, the impact of war, and the philosophical questions surrounding identity and legacy, ultimately presenting a sweeping epic of personal and societal transformation. Now, if you read both of these, let me know if you think I should first continue with Red Rising or if I should just jump straight into Suneater. Now, one story that's considered one of the all-time greats is Solaris by Stanislaw Lem. And for any sci-fi lovers out there, I am so pleased to tell you about today's sponsor, Conversation Tree Press, who are doing something incredibly special for this novel. Now, on the 11th of November, they are releasing a limited letterpress edition of Stanislaw Lem's classic novel Solaris, and this edition will be insane. Now, this will be the first print version featuring Bill Johnson's direct Polish to English translation, bringing Lem's original language and nuance back to life in a way that's never been seen in print before. For over 13 years, this translation was only available as an ebook and an audiobook, but now, thanks to Conversation Tree Press, it will also be available as a beautifully crafted illustrated edition. And the illustrations are made by the award-winning artist Matt Murphy, which adds a whole new layer to the story with full color pieces and stunning black and white chapter openings. Moreover, this edition will have Smith sewn binding, ribbon marker, and handmade slipcase. And there will be 3 different editions of this book: the collector's, deluxe, and letter. So if you love collecting limited editions of iconic works or are simply a fan of Solaris, then this is one you don't want to miss out on. Now, I will leave a link in the description down below where you can read more on how and when to pre-order. Thank you so much to Conversation Press for sponsoring this video. Now back to the video. Okay, next up with Arcadian Blue Rogue, he said, "Come on, Tad Williams, let's finish a new Osten Ard series stronger." This makes me so hyped. I am a huge fan of Tad Williams, and I've only read the first 2 books in the Osten Ard saga. Now, I started reading this series I think around 8 months ago, and the Dragonbone Chair was just, oh, beautiful. If you love Robin Hobb, for example, and you like classic fantasy and slow-paced, character-driven epic fantasies, then this is just a series you need to check out. And guess what? It has literally been a huge inspiration for particularly George R. R. Martin, but also Brandon Sanderson, even Patrick Rothfuss. So many authors talk about Tad Williams as one of the all-time greats. Now, this series is split into 1 trilogy first, and then 2 prequel novels, and now Tad Williams is working on a sequel trilogy, which I do believe is going to be concluded this year, which is super exciting. And obviously the end of the Osten Ard saga will be the culmination of love and passion by an author put into one single epic fantasy. So yeah, I'm not going to do a proper introduction here. I'm just saying that if you love epic fantasy and you love beautiful writing, then please, more people need to check out the series. I feel it's so criminally underrated on BookTube. Now, the only reason why I haven't continued yet is because the 3rd book is like 1400 pages or something. I mean, it's literally longer than Oathbringer, which is one of the hugest most massive books I've ever read. So that is a huge commitment. But yeah, I'm hoping to actually finish the series or the original trilogy this year. Disruptible Cog said, Tamsin Muir's Locked Tomb series, fantastic so far with 3 books, and it's unclear whether there's just 1 more to go or if they might take another 2 to wrap things up properly. Lots of very weird stuff to theorize about. Okay, so this is a series I haven't dipped my toes into yet, but I really do want to, for the sole reason that so many people say that it is seriously strange. Now, I love fantasy that gets strange. I mean, my all-time favorite series is The Dark Tower, which is absolutely absurd, crazy, but I love it. I also love the Winning Flame trilogy by Jen Williams, which is also just seriously strange. So whenever people tie the word strange to epic fantasy, then I am all ears. Now, I've heard a lot of mixed things about whether this series is good or not. Like, some people say that it's just overly confusing for no good reason, while other people just say that it's a wild ride that is super enjoyable and unique. And I can imagine a lot of you don't know that much about the series, so I'm just gonna give you a brief overview. So Tamsin Muir's Locked Tomb XCOM series is a unique blend of science fiction and fantasy set in a distant future where necromancy and advanced technology coexists. The series begins with Gideon the Ninth, introducing a universe where necromancers wield the power of the dead and are part of various noble houses. The story follows Gideon, a fierce and rebellious swordsman from the Ninth House, who reluctantly becomes embroiled in a deadly competition among necromancer for a place in the Emperor's service. This series features a complex and rich built world filled with unique magic systems, political intrigue, and dark humor. Okay, just that description alone is... oh, I'm so hyped now. I actually want to pick up the series maybe this month. I just feel like I need some strange epic fantasy in my life. If you read it, let me know if it's worth picking up. Okay, next one, Advanced Revenue 118 says the Hierachy Series by James Islington. He said The Will of the Many was amazing. Islington is coming out with Strength of the Few next year, but The Will of the Many has complex magic, insane fight scenes, dark academia, and insanely messed up cast system. Okay, so if you've been living underneath a rock, then you probably haven't heard about The Will of the Many, but I think that this probably was the book of the year last year. I did like a booktube collab, and at least like 2, maybe 3 people mentioned that this was their favorite book of the year. Now, the only reason I haven't read this one is because I kinda made a commitment to myself that I would finally read the Lycaonius trilogy first before I was allowed to jump into this one, because I've had the Lycaonius trilogy, his debut series, on my TBR for literally years. Now, I have started the Lycaonius trilogy, I read the first 2 books, I just need the 3rd one, and I just can't wait to jump into this one. And I actually don't know that much about it, except from a few bits here and there that I heard from other people, and I kinda want to keep it that way, because I just love stepping into a world and knowing very little. I know that this is like Roman inspired, and as this person mentioned, has like caste system, but otherwise, I don't know that much, and I'm actually not gonna give you a proper introduction to the series here for the sole reason that, as I said, I want to be pleasantly surprised. Okay, moving on, we have A Song of Ice and Fire, another comment, and this person also said Suneater, so no surprise there. Amos is famous said Dresden Files. The final trilogy will come out 30 plus years after Stormfront. Okay, so this is also one of those massively popular urban fantasy series that I just haven't started yet, only because I am unsure if I will love it, and also so many people say that the series starts getting good at book 3, which is just something that I don't really like hearing. This might be exaggerated, but are you telling me that I need to read 2 books before I start enjoying it? I don't know. But yeah, the Dresden Files is without a doubt, I think, probably the most popular ongoing urban fantasy series with 17 books, and I do believe that Jim Butcher has 22 books planned. So obviously this series has already reached a huge fan base, and the ceiling is just absolutely massive. I really hope for the fans and for the author that he's able to finish his series on a high note. But in case you don't know much of Dresden, then the Dresden Files, created by Jim Butcher, is a contemporary urban fantasy series that follows Harry Dresden, a private investigator and the only professional wizard in modern day Chicago. The series blends elements of detective fiction with supernatural themes as Dresden navigates a world filled with magic, monsters, and mythical creatures, while also solving crimes and battling dark forces. The world building is rich and immersive, featuring a hidden magical society that coexists alongside the mundane world. Various supernatural factions, including vampires, fairies, werewolves, and other beings, interact with one another and with humans, often leading to conflict and intrigue. That just sounds absolutely insane, but a lot of people say that this series is like perfect if you're looking for like palate cleansers, because I think all the books are like 300 to 400 pages, and you can just like read them between bigger epic fantasy series. So I might actually start doing that. Let me know if you think I'm massively missing out here. Okay, Beneficial Bacteria said, I feel boring mentioning Stormlight here. Okay, another Stormlight. Obviously, we're gonna have a couple Stormlight in A Song of Ice and Fire, but still no Rothfuss or Scots Lynch, which is very surprising. I'm just really speculating. Maybe people just really hate those 2 guys on Reddit. Top Zookeeper Game 203 says, I'm listening to The Daughter's War right now, and I really like the Blacktongue Thief, but how different this book is really seems like the series can go anywhere and do great things. With 97 upvotes. Okay, interesting. So the Blacktongue Thief series by Christopher Buehlman is a series now with 2 books. Now, I read the Blacktongue Thief when it came out like 3 years ago, and I didn't particularly enjoy it. Now, this series has lots of swashbuckling, lots of humor, and Nicholas Eames, the author of Kings of the Wild, he loves this book, which is not surprising. So if you also like Kings of the Wild, then this series is for you. But yeah, I just didn't really enjoy. There's so much humor in that novel, and it just had so many jokes, but I think Christopher Buehlman did a great job with what he was trying to accomplish. Now, interestingly, some people have told me that even if I did enjoy Blacktongue Thief, I might actually end up loving A Daughter's War, because for the sole reason that that book, which is a prequel novel, is apparently extremely different in tone from the Blacktongue Thief. So I might do that, but I know that Patrick Leo, a good friend of mine, he didn't particularly enjoy it. So I don't know, let me know if you think I'll enjoy The Daughter's War if I didn't enjoy Blacktongue. But just very briefly, Blacktongue is written by Christopher Buehlman and is a dark fantasy novel that immerses readers in a richly crafted world filled with magic, intrigue, and danger. It's set in a medieval-inspired realm that follows a group of characters who are drawn together by their shared struggles against the oppressive forces of a powerful ruling class. The novel centers on the character of the Blacktongue, a notorious thief and master of deception who must navigate a treacherous landscape filled with political machinations and the threat of a violent conflict. So yeah, let's get to the next one. Rivero. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce the last name. Dungeon Crawler Carl. At this point, obviously, I should have thought about this one. I know my editor is a huge fan of Dungeon Crawler Carl, so he's probably super happy right now. Now, this series has literally exploded on the internet for the past year or so. I mean, the series initially started as a self-publishing series and has now been picked up by a traditional publisher. I do even believe that there's a potential adaptation in the works, which is just crazy. And yeah, it just feels like lit RPG was a relatively popular subgenre, but in the past 6 months or 12 months or so, it has exploded and has almost become mainstream, which is just crazy. Now, the only reason why I have kind of put off picking up this series is because everything I've heard so far, it just sounds like something I would almost hate. It just sounds absolutely absurd. Just sounds like every single page is just a massive joke. And while I haven't explored lit RPG into much detail yet, which I actually do want to, the very few encounters I've had with lit RPG has been quite off-putting because it's just been almost like reading a video game. But just because of the huge hype, I am intrigued. But yeah, Dungeon Crawler Carl is a comedic lit RPG series that follows the adventure of Carl, an everyman who finds himself trapped in a massive dungeon filled with monsters, traps, and various challenges. The story is set in a post-apocalyptic world where society has collapsed and the remnants of humanity participate in a deadly game for survival and glory. The series is characterized by its humorous take on traditional dungeon crawling tropes, blending elements of fantasy, adventure, and video game mechanics. Carl, along with his adorable yet deadly pet cat, becomes a reluctant hero as he navigates the treacherous depths of the dungeon, leveling up his skills and acquiring loot along the way. That literally sounds like a hilarious video game. I would actually play this on PlayStation or something. I'm not sure if I would read it though, but I'm so intrigued. Let me know if you think I should actually pick it up. It does have a cat in it, and I have allergies for cats, so that might be my excuse for not reading it. Okay, so I do think that we've covered 10 series now, and still no Scott Lynch or Patrick Rothfuss, so I'm just gonna scroll down until I find them. Okay, so literally right beneath DCC, Civil Annual has written, "Can't believe nobody has mentioned the Gentleman Bastards yet. Can't wait for the next book in the series. I know the author has had some difficulties, but another book is supposed to be coming." Okay, so we have one there with 66 votes, and literally right underneath it is, "Can't believe it hasn't been said, but Kingkiller. Rothfuss was the biggest thing in fantasy for like 15 years for a reason, with only 2 books to his name." Okay, now I'm wondering if people are super negative in the replies. Let's have a look here. Okay, the first one said, "It hasn't been said because I don't know a single person who believes Kingkiller will be finished." If I'm being honest, I'm not sure it will be finished either. And another reply says here, "I feel like general opinion on Kingkiller books has soured a lot as people think more about them. There's a lot that is really good about them, but there's a lot that veers into cringe-worthy territory." Wow, that is savage. Now, if you want to see my thoughts on the most overhyped books according to Reddit, then check out this video. Oh, you're still here and you want more? Well, the good news is that I have a Viking book club on my Patreon. If you join my Patreon, then you get access to an exclusive book club where every single month we read one book together and the book can be put forward by you. If you join tier 3 or 4, then you can put a book forward and then I randomly choose a book from the pot that we end up reading together, and throughout the month we discuss the book on the Patreon chats, and then we also have Zoom hangouts, which honestly are some of my favorite times of the month. This month we're reading this book, and next month we're gonna be reading this book. Also, since I launched my Patreon, I basically spent my money back into the channel on video editing. I've had more than 40 videos professionally edited, so if you want to support what I do here and also help me upload more consistently, then I'll leave a link in the description down below.